Hello and welcome to a Title Source 360 orientation session. This is meant to be an overview of how Title Source 360 works. It's not meant to be a full training session, but it's intended to show you kind of what to expect as you migrate to Title Source 360. My name is Eric and I'll be taking you through this orientation session. We're assuming that you're getting ready to migrate to Title Source 360 from either BNT Link Online or Title Source 3. So, without further ado, this is the home page, is the sign-on page, and I'm going to go ahead and sign on. So I'm going to enter a user ID and a password, and I will click login. And assuming I entered those correctly, I will come up to the home page. Now, the home page has got a lot of good information on it. The home page is one of the areas that will tailor itself for you. The Title Source 360 already knows whether you're a public library or a school library or an academic library or a retailer, and will already tailor itself for you. But furthermore, you will be able to go in and tell Title Source whether you only select movies or only select music, or if you select books. And if you select books, you'll be able to tell it, I only select children's books, or I select YA books, or I select adult books. And you'll be able to choose different age ranges and tailor it further to you. And once you do, the information you see on this page and in other places will be tailored for you. So I see hot titles that are here, see things that are on sale, see e-lists that are available. I'm going to take you into another way in just a second where you can see other e-lists. And further up here, I have a link to the new release calendar. I'm going to take you into the new release calendar also in a different way. Another link for more promotions, and I'm going to take you in there. But first, since I just mentioned that you can tailor Title Source, there's actually a lot of things you can do in Title Source 360 to tailor it to work the way you want it to. Each user ID has got a lot of customization that can be done. And you do that by going into My BNT, My Preferences. When you get trained, we'll spend a lot of time actually going into this. But just to kind of briefly go over it, we have this search results section. So when you do a search, you can tailor what the results will look like, what information will be displayed. Likewise, when you're looking at a cart, a shopping cart, you can decide what information you're looking at. You can choose to have elements added or deleted, things you want to see. This is the section where you can say, I select everything, or I only select music or movies, or maybe you do all AV, you do music and movies, or I only select books and I don't select music and movies. So you can choose. And if you select books, you can choose the age ranges down here for what you select. Further down, when you do a search, you can choose your search results. Do you want them displayed in the table view, the stack view, or the tile view? So there's 3 different views. You can choose to have the titles sorted by any of a number of different methods, and I'll show you this when we actually do a sort. I like to have my titles sorted by popularity descending. When you're looking at a cart, you can choose to have them sorted also in a different method, and you can view them in a different way if you want. Further down, you can control how duplicate checking works, and I'll talk a little bit more about duplicate checking. Duplicate checking has taken a big step forward with Title Source 360. It's pretty awesome the way it works. And so you have some control over how duplicate checking works in your user ID. You can control what accounts are assigned to every cart by default when you create a cart, when you create a shopping cart. You can always change them as you create the cart. You could choose a different account, but if you always tend to use the same book account and AV account, and for that matter, ebook account, you can have them assigned automatically. You can have them show up automatically right then and there. You can also choose to have certain kinds of material excluded when you do a search so that that doesn't show up all the time. You can come in and also control how your reviews look. So when you're looking at the full text reviews, if you do children's material, for instance, you might choose to have SLJ be at the top of the list all the time, and horn and whatnot. If you if you select spoken word audio, might want audiophile at the top of the list. So you can control how the reviews look. Also, if you use grids, there's a lot of customization that you can do with the grid fields. You can choose whether to see the descriptions or the codes, and you can choose what will show up in your grid section automatically. And you have a section where you can go in and you can create your own grid templates. Again, that's if you use grids, you can create your own grid templates, you can edit them and all. And there's another way where you can create grid templates that's also really, really easy. So there's a lot of customization that each user ID can do on their own and control how the look and feel of TitleSource 360 works. So that's it for my B&T, my preferences, and how you can customize TitleSource 360 to suit you. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to pop into the Browse menu. There's a lot of really cool things here. So I can go into Browse and I can go into the first option I'm going to look at is B&T Publications. You're probably familiar with all the catalogs that we put out. Many of them are in hard copy. You're probably used to Alert for AV material and Forecast for paperbacks and hardcovers. Maybe the graphic novel catalog or Books and More for Growing Minds. A lot of things we also put out, navigators for continuations. A lot of these maybe you're not so familiar with. Some of these are only come out in E. Oh, Cat Series. This is really an important one also. It comes out in hard copy. But some of these you're probably not familiar with. And they're all here in E version. So, I can click on Forecast and take a look at them. I could click on this little PDF icon here and pull up the PDF version of the latest release. By the way, notice I have a link here where I can go subscribe to this this catalog and have it delivered to me if I want. These are all clickable links also, so I could click on hardcover nonfiction and I would see all the titles in that section. I could click on agriculture here and I would see the ebook nonfiction books that were about agriculture. So I could, also click on the see more and I could drill down. So right here I could look at all the ebooks that were about personal finance or about pets or whatnot. Or as I said, I could click on ebook nonfiction and I would see all the nonfiction ebooks, as well as, I could click on mass market fiction and see all of those titles, or all the audio titles. So all that is available to me if I want to go look at those. I also can go under Browse and go and look at B&T lists. These are e-lists or selection lists or notification lists, if you like, that we put into TitleSource for you to use. There's a lot of really good lists. For instance, you can come in under awards and honors, find your state. We've broken up the states into A through K and L through Z. And you can come in and find your state and find your particular state's award winners and pull up the lists of the nominees or award winners and find them, add them to a cart, and just order them easily. I know that in my state, when our particular nominees are announced, they're always announced by title and author, but never by ISBN. It's always a little difficult for the libraries in my state to, they always have to do a title and author search to go find them and add them to a cart. It's a fair amount of work. Well, we put them into a list for you, so you could come in and just pull up the list. And in addition, we'll put in all of the different versions. So, if you want the audiobook version, we'll have it in there. So you can just kind of go through the list really quick and add them to carts. We have a lot of other lists here. For instance, the bestseller lists. So you could come in and pop this open and look at the LA Times bestsellers or the New York Times bestsellers. So I could come in and look at the most current hardcover New York Times hardcover fiction list. And if I click on it, I will see all of the titles that are on that list, and I'll have access to it and see the titles that are there. And this is the view you'll get when you do, for instance, a search of titles. And so we'll use this as an opportunity to kind of run through what the search looks like. So you can see all of these titles and see what they look like. Now, previously when we had looked at my preferences, I had said that I wanted things to be in the table view, and there's 3 different views I could click on here. So I'm in the table view. I could change it to the stack view or the tile view, but I'm in the table view. And I had said I wanted to start out in sorted by popularity, descending. But as you can see, I could sort this list by many different criteria. It's up to me. I could change it if I want. If I don't want this to be in popularity, I could change it. Popularity is done is kind of neat. It's done in a weighted fashion, so that titles that are getting more sales more recently will be higher in the list than titles that got that maybe sold better, but sold those copies in the more distant past. So seems to be working really well. It works well. Like if you search on a title, the formats of that title that you're looking for will rise to the top. So popularity is a really neat sort. It seems to work really well. This also is a neat way to run through the titles and make sure that you have them all. As you can see, I can hover over a title and see a flyout that tells me more about it. Matter of fact, from this flyout, you notice I have a link that says view details, and I can also click and go directly to the reviews if I wanted to. I have little icons here that say A, E, and R. The A means that there's annotations. The E means there's an excerpt. The R means there's reviews. I could click on any of those and go directly to the annotation or the excerpt or the reviews if I so desired. I have information here about the inventory that we have on hand and information on the sales that we've had for this title in the past. I can click this product lookup link and see if we have this title in my catalog, in my library's catalog. So this will be configured for your library to see if so that it will check your library's catalog. And we can see that my library does in fact have this title. I can see more information about the title. I can see the list price, the discount price, the publication date. And then these red C's and these red O's, this is very important information. This is the new way that duplicate checking works. And this is just really, really cool. So in the old systems or in other systems, normally in Title Source 3, you had to put something into a cart to find out if it was a duplicate. In other systems, you have to actually put it in a cart and then send the cart off for background processing and wait for it to come back and then find out if something is a duplicate. But in Title Source 360, there's no waiting involved. There's no actions involved. These red C and red O icons tell me if it's a duplicate, and I haven't done anything. I'm simply looking at titles, and I know if it's a duplicate. So what this red C and the red O are telling me, they're telling me that these items are in a cart or have been ordered. And if I hover over it, you can see I get a little pop-up. It tells me that. So this tells me that the Nightingale is in a cart and it has been ordered. and I can click on the C icon, and I will see every cart that it exists in, and I can see that I put it in this test cart. If you use grids, it will also show you the grid codes. It would also show you notes. And if I click on the O icon, it will tell me every time it's been ordered. It'll give me a summary up here and then show me more detail about each order down here. And it'll include specific detail about the order. Now you'll see real numbers. When I order things on my account, things actually don't get ordered, which is a good thing. So it says up here that I ordered one, but down here all the numbers are zeros because when I order things, they just kind of disappears. But what you would see is you would see the actual current status of the order. So if you had just ordered it just moments ago, it might say reserved awaiting release, meaning that it's on the shelf, it's been reserved for you, no one else can get it, but it hasn't yet been picked off the shelf for you. And then maybe if you came back and looked in a little bit, it would say in process, which means it's over with the folks who are putting the Mylar jackets on it and the spine labels and the barcode labels and all that. And then if you came back a little bit later, it might say shipped, meaning it's now been given to UPS and it's on its way to you. So this is real-time information, and it'll show you the actual current status of the title in the various orders. So that's what the duplicate checking is. Now, this will also show you duplicates for things that you have not ordered, but that have been ordered for you as part of the automatically yours automatic shipment plan or as part of continuations. So perhaps I have, well, this title is a good example. Perhaps I have Lee Child as a popular adult author on an automatic shipment plan. And right here it's showing me that this title has been ordered. And maybe the reason it's showing up as ordered is because it was ordered for my library as part of the automatically yours plan, even though I, as the library, never actually put it in a cart and ordered it. And maybe if I were looking at, Fodor's Guide for Italy, maybe that would show up as with an O icon, even though I have it on continuations and I never ordered it. Or perhaps you subscribe to one of the parade plans where maybe we select mass market paperbacks or Harlequin romances and we send them to you automatically. Those would also show up with the O icon. So this really extends it and shows you duplicates in a much better way than any place else. Also, if you remember how I got here, I was looking at a New York Times bestseller list. This is really good. A great way, I pull up a New York Times bestseller list. I would expect to look down this list and I would expect to see C's and O's on every one of these titles. And as a matter of fact, I have a title here, The Girl on the Train. It's in a cart, but it's never been ordered. And that might be a title that you would want to investigate and say, why have we not ordered this? This is on the New York Times bestseller list. We have it in a cart, but we never ordered it. This is something we need to look into. So you can combine the fact that we are providing these lists for you along with the enhanced duplicate checking that we have, and you can do some really neat things with them. It's a great way to make sure things have not fallen through the cracks by just pulling up lists and scanning down this right-hand side and looking for the C's and the O's and making sure that things are all there, that you have everything ordered. So everything else I see an O for, so I know everything's been ordered. And if I wanted to, I could click the little O icons on all of them and make sure everything's satisfactory. I could click on a particular title if I want to see the detail on that title, and more information is going to be shown about the title. I can, up top, I see information that's very similar to what I saw before. I can scroll down further and see bibliographic detail. If you're coming from Title Source 3, you're used to this kind of screen, although we've added more detail, tried to make this really information dense, give you just all sorts of really good stuff about it, all sorts of review citations here. By the way, these are clickable links. I could click on these and it'll take me right to the actual review. So we show you all sorts of places where these titles exist. I can click on the additional content link and I could read summaries, flap copy from the book, author biographies, all sorts of information like that. If this were an AV item, I would have a tab here that says, I believe it says additional music and movie information. So it would give me all sorts of information like a list of all the producers and all the actors or all the performers for music. It'll give me our run times. It'll give me for DVDs. It would give me a list of all the additional features. Whether it was a director's cut or that kind of information. It'll give me track listings for music and run times of each track. It'll give me reviews from places like Rolling Stone and People Magazine and all sorts of different review sources like that. So it's just chock full of really good information. Oh, I have this link called alternate formats. And on the previous page, I didn't show you, but we have a link there for alternate formats also. So I can click the alternate formats link. And since I found one version of this title, and if I scroll back up, we can see that I was looking at a hardcover of this title. But I can come down here and I can see every other version of it. So I've got a paperback version here in Spanish. I've got a spoken word audio compact disc that's unabridged. I have a pre-bind paperback. I can come down here. I've got an ebook. I've got hardcovers. So as you can see, I've got all sorts of different versions of it. So if you find one version of it, you can go and find the others, and you can throw them all into shopping carts from here. So that's certainly a really handy thing. You can click on the reviews tab, and this is where you can read the full text reviews. And remember, in preferences, I said you can change the sort order. So what I've done in mine is I put LJ at the top and PW second, and then I told it I want Kirkus next. So you can change the order for your user ID to be whatever you want. Next, I have an excerpt. So I can come in and read usually the first chapter. So that's there. Then I have a tab that shows me the demand for the title, shows me how many copies have been sold to other libraries since the book was first came out. So all that information is available to me. I'm going to go back and we'll go back to the list results, and I'll pick a different title. So I'll just scroll up, and how about we pick Go Set a Watchman? This is that link that I mentioned that I forgot to show you. This check alternate formats link. If I click this will show me all of the formats for the other formats for Go Set a Watchman. So you can see I have all these different versions of Go Set a Watchman available. So you can check the alternate formats from either this screen or the other. So it may be time to actually put something into a cart. Now that I've found some titles that maybe I want, even though I already have these titles, well, why don't I do a search and find some other titles? Since I already have these, I've already ordered these. Why don't I do a search and go find some other titles and put them in a cart? I have this search box up here, which is where I would do a product search, and I can type in all sorts of things here. I could do an author search. I could type in an ISBN or a UPC. I could type in a title, but I can also type in things like a series name. I could type in subject. There is a a search engine here that analyzes what I type in. And so I can type in a subject area. Also, notice that as I type in, I get a type ahead box that that kind of makes some predictions and gives me suggestions. I can just go ahead and hit enter and accept what I typed in, and I get my search results. Now, I've come back with over 17,000 search results, and that's quite a bit. So maybe I want to narrow down my search. So I now have the ability to do a search within my results. So maybe I just want American geology, or you might want to search on your state. But I'm going to put in American. So now I'm doing a search within my results. I'm narrowing my results down. And so now I'm down to 236 titles. I could furthermore use these facets, and you may have seen these kinds of facets on other websites where you can come in and say, I'm only interested in titles that are are hardcovers, or maybe I also want paperbacks, and why not? I'll look at library bindings, but I'm really not interested in ebooks or whatnot. So I'll apply those filters, and that'll narrow down my results some. And I could go and maybe look for things that are going to be published within a certain publication date range, perhaps, or maybe I want to make sure I'm only looking for adult material and not children's material. So maybe I'm willing to look at general adult and scholarly undergraduate, but I'm certainly not looking for graduate material, and I'll go ahead and take professional. And so you can use these facets and add them in, narrow it down. If you decide you've gone too far, you can click on this little section here and click on an X and remove something that you've added. So you can play around. You can add in facets, you can remove them, and kind of zero in on what you're looking for. So let's say I'm happy with what I've got. Now I want to add some things to a cart. So we've added something here called a cart drawer. And it's this little yellow thing that's been following me up and down. I don't know if you've noticed, but as I've moved around, this little cart drawer has been following me. So if I scroll down, the cart drawer comes down. If I scroll up, it comes up. And I can click on it and it slides open. And if I click on it again, it'll close. So it's a little drawer that opens and closes. And it lets me do some things with carts from my search results or when I'm looking at an item. And it's just a handy way to do some things with carts without having to go way over to the carts page where I could do everything I could do here plus more. The carts page lets me do everything I can do with carts. This lets me do some things with carts. Lets me do some nifty little things. Now, right away, you might notice some things about this view, which is over on the left. I have these folders. And I have some folders here. I have a default folder. I have one called Web Training, and I've got some other folders. In TitleSource 360, we now let you organize your carts by putting them into folders. And you don't have to use folders, but you can use folders as much as you want. You can create folders. You can create all sorts of folders. You can put folders inside of folders if you want. You can even put folders inside of folders that are inside of folders. And at any point, you can put carts inside of them. As I said, you don't have to use them if you don't want. You could rename them. You can move carts from one folder to another. So there's a lot of flexibility, but you can organize your workspace just like you do in Windows, right? In Windows, you probably have a lot of folders and you organize your documents and spreadsheets and things in different ways. So you might make up folders for different months of the year or different subject areas. So it's completely up to you. Now, down here, we have some system level folders that we put into your user ID. The bottom one says deleted. This is if you delete a cart, it will get moved into the deleted folder and it will sit here for 7 days. And that'll give you 7 days to change your mind and recover the cart. And after 7 days, we're going to go ahead and delete it for real. There is this archive folder. Archive, there is a way where in the carts page where you can archive a cart and it'll put it into the archive folder. And the archive folder is sort of like that file cabinet in the basement where you can put things, they might get a little musty, they're still fully functional, they'll still work for duplicate checking, but they just get out of your way. It's a place to put carts and get them out of your way, and just store them for a while. This ESP folder will only be here if you subscribe to Collection HQ using ESP. It's a really great feature. It's a way where we can look at the how well titles and have circulated in your library or in other libraries like you, and then analyze titles you've put in carts. It's an awesome thing. Ask your sales consultant about it, and you can get a demo on it. B&T First Look. You'll have this folder if we supply lists to you. Many libraries get lists that our collection development department supplied to them, and they do selection based on that. So we can profile you. We can supply. We have a lot of lists that we supply that we just go ahead and supply all the time. And with a lot of libraries, we profile them and supply lists that are highly detailed, highly customized for that particular library. Also, you will have, when you migrate, you're going to have a folder here that says legacy. I don't have it, but you'll have a folder that says legacy. Carts that are copied over from either Link Online or Title Source 3. So when we set you up in Title Source 360, we're going to copy carts from your old system into your new system. And the carts are going to be put into a folder called legacy. And that's where you'll see all your old carts that get copied over. There's a folder here called shared/received. This is if someone transfers a cart to you or someone shares out a cart to you so that you can work on it together in a collaborative fashion. You'll see the carts here. And then ordered and submitted, if you've ordered a cart, it'll show up here. So that's what all these folders are. Now I'm going to create a new cart, and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to click on the new cart icon, and I'm going to call this my YouTube cart. And I could give it a PO number now if I wanted to. And I can choose here what folder I want it to go into. If I didn't want it to go into my web training folder, I could choose from this drop-down list and find which one I wanted it to go into. You know, I could scroll around. And I'm going to choose to make this my primary cart. A primary cart, well, I'll show you in a minute when I add titles to a cart what the primary cart does. So I'm going to say go ahead and create the cart. And I now have a primary cart created. You can see up here my cart shows up, and it has 0 items in it, 0 quantity, and no discount price yet because there's nothing in it. If I scroll down, I can go through these titles. I could click the next button to go to the next page and see more titles. So if I decide I want one of these titles, I could put in a quantity and click the add button. Now this button is actually a multi-function add button now. And if I click on the left portion of the button, it's going to add it to my primary cart. That's the cart I just created. If I click on the right portion of the button, it's going to give me access to every other cart I have, because maybe I want this title, but maybe I just don't want it in the cart I just created. Maybe I want it someplace else. So I could say I want this with a quantity of 2 and click on the left portion where it says plus add, and it's going to put it in my primary cart. So I I get a little pop-up message that self-dismisses in just a couple seconds. And you can see my primary cart now says there's one item in it, to quantity, and it gives me a running discount price. I can go to the next title, and I don't even have to, in my preferences, I told Title Source that if if I don't put in an actual quantity, if I just click the button, it's going to pop the title in with a quantity of 1. So I can go ahead and click the add button, and it just added it with a quantity of 1. But maybe I also want this title in a different cart. So I can hover over this right-hand portion of the button, and I can choose any of the last 5 carts I've worked on, or if the cart I want is not one of those, I could choose add to a cart, or I could create a brand new cart right here by clicking add to new cart. But if I click on add to a cart, it'll pop open my cart drawer. I could scroll around, find the cart I want, and click add, and it'll pop it into that cart. So I just added it to that cart. So you can go back and forth. You can do it kind of however you want. So I could add this title by clicking the add button. I've just added that to my primary cart. So you can add things to all sorts of different carts. So that's basically how you add things to carts, kind of left and right. If I want to go look at my carts, I can click on Carts, Manage Carts, and this is where I can do real cart management. I have my same folder paradigm here. I could do a search in my folders. I could search for a particular cart name, but I could plug in a title and search across all my carts, and it would pull up. Title Source would show me every cart that has that title in it. Or I could search for a particular ISBN or all sorts of different things. I could go through and click a couple of different carts and come up here and tell Title Source I want to archive those carts, or I want to transfer those carts to someone else in the library. Or maybe I want to move them to a different folder, or I want to delete them, or I want to merge them together and make one cart out of those 2 carts. So I have a lot of different options of what I could do. I could click submit order and just and order the cart, and it's very simple. So if I click submit order, I get this screen, and I can change the purchase order if I want. I can review it. I could click submit order, and off the cart goes. It's just that simple. So the process is really easy. I could also refine it and say I only want to see the carts that have books in them, or only the carts that I've worked on in the last 7 days, or worked on in the last 14 days. So I have things I can do there. So that's the basics of what Title Source 360 has. There's actually a lot more to it. And as you get trained, you'll get to see all the different features and functions in it. But we wanted to give you a relatively brief overview of everything that's in Title Source 360. So it'll be a little bit less scary. As I said, there's a lot more to it. There's an advanced search function. There's a lot more in the browse function. There's some fun things where you can go in and look at a new release calendar and see everything that's going to be coming out on certain days. And there's an advanced search function where you can go in and build searches, for based on particular review journals, and show me everything that's going to be in a certain Dewey range that's got a positive review at LJ, and things like that. But there's a lot more to it, and you'll be exposed to that as you get your training. But hopefully this served as a good overview of Title Source 360, and I hope you got something out of it. And I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Thank you very much.